In this video, we're going to take a look at what it means to be a saint. First of all, the only place that I see the word or the term saint in the Bible is in the King James Bible. The term saint is not a Hebrew or a Greek term. So in the NIV, it does not use the word saint, and it's not because saint was removed from the Bible. It's because the term saint was removed from the translation of the Bible. I don't really have a problem with people using a particular term as long as it's being used correctly, but it's not being used correctly. The way that people are using the term saint is to exalt and venerate human beings, which is something that Jesus told us we were not supposed to do. We're not supposed to call anyone rabbi or teacher. We have one teacher, and that's Jesus. We're not supposed to call anyone holy father or father in general. You have an earthly father, but you're not to regard anyone as a holy father. What the heck is that? That comes from the harlot. See, this is what is happening in counterfeit Christianity. People do this with pastors and ministers and bishops, and they regard people who lived before as so-called saints. But the Bible doesn't have this concept built in. The way that the Bible refers to God's people is without favoritism. Everyone's got the same covenant, and in fact, the Bible tells us that anyone who exalts themselves here will be humbled later. And anyone who humbles themselves here will be exalted later. Paul never referred to himself as a saint. He never referred to him in any exalted way. He lowered himself to serve the same way that Jesus did. And no one is better than Jesus. And in fact, before Jesus died, he washed the feet of his disciples in order to teach them how they must be with one another, that we must serve. He lowered himself to serve. He left his kingdom to come here and be lowered than any other human being in order to serve us. Why would we ever think to venerate a human being? The original Hebrew word that's being translated into saint in the King James Version is kadosh, and it means to be holy, sacred, and set apart. It can be found in Strong's H6918, and the root word is the word kadash, and it is Strong's H6942. This word means to be set apart, to be consecrated, to be hallowed, to show oneself to be sacred, honored, treated as sacred, holy, dedicated, set apart, devoted, consecrated, and sanctified. Oh, well, that sounds like what all of God's people are supposed to do. God said at the very beginning of the Bible that we are to be set apart as a nation, a holy nation to him, that we are to be holy as God is holy. So yeah, it doesn't sound like anything separate from what all of God's people are supposed to be. And anybody accepting sainthood is none of these things, because what they're doing is trying to exalt themselves. And there is no way that if you are exalting yourself, that you are actually set apart, consecrated, holy, and sanctified to God. There's absolutely no way. You're trying to stand in the place of God. Let's look at how God used it in a sentence. Exodus 19:6, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and an holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. Exodus 29:31, and thou shalt take the ram of the consecration and seethe his flesh in the holy place. I mean, is a ram a saint now? Leviticus 6:16, and the remainder thereof shall Aaron and his sons eat with unleavened bread, and shall it be eaten in the holy place, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation, they shall eat it. Leviticus 6:26, the priest that offereth it for sin shall eat it. In the holy place shall it be eaten, in the court of the tabernacle of the congregation. Holy, holy, holy. Get the picture? Clean, set apart to God, consecrated, sanctified. Leviticus 11:45, for I am the Lord that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. Leviticus 16:24, and he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put on his garments, and come forth, and offer his burnt offering and the burnt offering of the people, and make an atonement for himself and for the people. Okay, I'm going to skip forward into the scriptures where saint is being used as the translation in the King James Version, and we're going to see what he says about saints. Deuteronomy 33:3. Yea, he loved the people. All his saints are in thy hand, and they sat down at thy feet. Everyone shall receive of thy words. He's just talking about his people, guys. His holy people. The reason we don't understand this is because we don't understand, and we don't live as though we're separate from the world. We live as though we are combined and joined with pagans. So we don't understand that we're supposed to be a holy nation set apart by God, and that we have nothing to do with pagans. that a believer has nothing in common with an unbeliever. This is why we don't understand this. This is why we don't understand that when God uses this term for his people, what he's saying is that they're holy and the others are not, that you separate the holy from the unholy. Job 5:1, call now, if there be any that will answer thee, and to which of the saints wilt thou turn? Holy people, that's it. Job 15:15, behold, he putteth no trust in his saints, yea, the heavens are not clean in his sight. Psalm 16:3, but to the saints that are in the earth, and to the excellent, in whom is all my delight. Just as holy people, guys. Psalm 34:9, O fear the Lord, ye his saints, for there is no want to them that fear him. Psalm 89:5, and the heavens shall praise thy wonders, O Lord, thy faithfulness also in the congregation of the saints. Congregation of the saints? What's that? Just God's holy people. No one is special here. Paul never exalted himself. He was doing his duty at the end of the day. That's it. And that's how each of us is to regard ourselves. No one's getting extra brownie points. No one deserves any kind of special treatment or status. That is in the hand of our God. Even Jesus knew that what was due to him was in the hands of the Father. He did not exalt himself to any status here. And he was actually the only one who was deserving of that status. And yet he didn't do it. Psalm 89:7, God is greatly to be feared in the assembly of the saints, and to be had in reverence of all them that are about him. There's no delineation between the congregation or the assembly of God's people and some venerated saint. This is simply referring to God's people. Psalm 106:16, they envied Moses also in the camp, and Aaron, the saint of the Lord. I can see how Catholicism could have a field day with this. Moses is also a saint of the Lord. So was Miriam. So was anybody else who was set apart, holy, and consecrated to God. There is no indication that anybody else was being venerated, but every indication that we are not to do such things with human beings. Daniel 8:13, then I heard one saint speaking, and another saint said unto that certain saint which spake, how long shall be the vision concerning the daily sacrifice and the transgression of desolation, to get both the sanctuary and the host to be trodden under foot? Hosea 11:12, Ephraim compasseth me about with lies, and the house of Israel with deceit, but Judah yet ruleth with God, and is faithful with the saints. Zechariah 14:5, and ye shall flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains shall reach unto Azal, yea, ye shall flee, like as ye fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah king of Judah, and the Lord my God shall come, and all the saints with thee. All right, so do we see anything here that even indicates that anybody has been set above another member of the congregation or the assembly or God's holy people? Absolutely not. Every indication in Scripture tells us that that is demonic. It is anti-Christ. It is in opposition to what he taught and what he demonstrated. Please discern this message with God.